What's the good word, Josh? Your boy DKB here. So we still have our top 2 draft picks, Will McDonald and Joe Tippmann, unsigned. And I kind of wanted to dive into a couple of reasons that may be causing a holdup, because with the excellent news that we had got Quentin Williams signed yesterday, the last big piece for Joe Douglas to take care of for this offseason, at least in terms of players already on this roster, is going to be signing the rest of our draft class. So keep in mind, money wise, there's not going to be a whole lot of stuff in terms of like the total contract value, the minimum, the high ceiling, performance escalators, all those kind of things are already wrapped up in these rookie deals since the last CBA agreement, where everything's based on draft slots. So that doesn't really have anything to do with it, although money is going to be involved, and we'll break that down in a moment here. But we do have a history, and this is predating Joe Douglas as well, where we generally take up until like the last 48 to 72 hours before training camp kicks off to sign our draft picks. And in a couple instances, and I'm trying to remember who it is off the top of my head, and I want to say it was Zach Wilson, and before him, maybe Calvin Pryor and Muhammad Wilkerson, maybe as guys that went into training camp maybe a day or two late. But nonetheless, we do have a history for this, so I'm trying not to stress about it too much. It'll get done when it gets done. I doubt we'll be a month in the training camp and we still don't have, one or both of these guys signed. But still, you'd like to see things get wrapped up, especially since we were off to a great start, signing a lot of our draft class within the first month of the draft ending. But nonetheless, so here's some of the issues for why the contract situation could be ongoing. So generally, for day 1, day 2 picks, this is what the holdup's going to be with them. It's going to be centered around either guaranteed money, offset language, and or signing bonuses. And the signing bonuses and the guaranteed money kind of go hand in hand. So when it comes to the guaranteed money for guys like Joe Tippmann, second round pick or later, generally you're talking about the second or third rounders, but nonetheless, the guaranteed money in the third year of the deal is kind of where the conversation gets extended, right? First 2 years have money for them, and then after that, you're talking about things like workout bonuses and stuff like that won't be guaranteed. And even though you're a high value draft pick, nothing's guaranteed in the NFL. You could have a freak injury history your first couple years. Maybe you get beat out by a veteran. Maybe there's more established players that come along that they rather secure a position with, even though they drafted you. There's a number of things that could go on, and so you like the idea of having that security blanket. It's not just about the money, but also less likely that a team will cut you if you have some guaranteed money in that third year of your deal. And so really that's the only thing with a guy like Joe Tippmann. Will McDonald's situation is definitely going to be a lot different, and that's because we start diving into conversations about not only the signing bonus and how that'll get paid, but also the offset language that'll be included in the contract. So for Will McDonald, his contract situation is most likely going to be centered around the signing bonus. Basically, a team typically, at least in within the last decade or so, things have been changing in the last 3 to 5 years. But for the most part, historically, signing bonuses have been paid by the teams in installments. So basically, they've been paid in 2 to 4 installments. Let's say you get 50% of your signing bonus up front, and then they'll pay out the remainder maybe the day the league year starts, maybe the end of training camp. It really just depends. It's customized for whatever works for the player and or team, however that goes about for them. But generally, it has been paid in installments. We've been seeing more so of a change in that philosophy, where a lot of teams or players in better positions, and generally this falls to quarterbacks or maybe elite edge rushers, they've been able to get all of that as a lump sum payment. And we've actually seen that same thing with the New York Jets recently. When you want to think about Zach Wilson, he was able to get his money as a lump sum and not have to worry about that money coming to him in installments. I want to say the same thing might have happened for Quentin Williams, but can't guarantee that, but nonetheless, just a couple quick examples. And then as far as the offset language, this is probably the biggest kicker. And again, this is more so of a protective blanket for the player. And then from an agent perspective, also kind of helps them out, of course, getting that percentage in the pocket. But when it comes to offset and the language in the contract, basically an offset allows a team to reduce the guaranteed money owed to a player when he is released by the amount of his new deal with another team, aka double dipping. So there's been a lot of examples of this recently, but basically, let's say we cut Will McDonald after 3 years, maybe after 2 years, whatever the case, but we cut him. His full contract, if offset language is not guaranteed, is not provided in there, basically means that the New York Jets will pay him for whatever guarantees and stuff are still due. And he's also going to receive a new paycheck from whenever new team signs him. A lot of teams hate that idea. And so they like to have that language in there because if they cut you, they don't want to have to worry about paying a guy that no longer exists on the roster, which is why you see a lot of teams trying to figure out creative ways, or depending on where they're at in like a rebuilding situation, outright trying to reduce as much dead cap space as possible for guys that are no longer even on the roster. And we've seen Joe Douglas do that very, very well up until recently, where we've had these spending sprees a little bit more. I want to say we were the number one team in the league in terms of dead cap space value. So those are going to be the biggest issues. The offset language for Will McDonald. Will he be able to double dip if he doesn't pan out with the team? And then, of course, the signing bonus. Will he be able to get all of his money up front, or will he have to receive it in installments? And then for Joe Tippmann, can he get some guarantees in his third year to kind of sweeten the pot for himself and get a little bit more security? So let me know what you guys think with Quinnen Williams getting done recently. Again, I think this bodes really well for Joe Douglas being able to turn his attention to these two young draft picks. And then, of course, we still have the huge Aaron Rodgers restructure lingering. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are. Do we have a situation where this may bleed into training camp and we might not see our top two guys, which Joe Tippmann's in a more critical situation right out of the gate than Will McDonald, since he's starting to or working his way to try to win a starting opportunity on this offensive line and block for Aaron Rodgers right out of the gate, whereas Will McDonald is just going to be fighting for a significant role, right? I mean, he'll probably get the Jermaine Johnson treatment, probably ending somewhere in the 34% snap range on the year for total snaps. But again, let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll catch you guys again. Peace.